That's where Pink Elephant came from. And if you haven't lost a business, you're not in business yet. And that turned a light on for me. I feel so much better when I write my gratitude down versus when I just say it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a fantastic episode of Sphere of Success. And today we look at the different faces of success because success doesn't mean the same to everybody. It's something that most people are chasing in this lifetime, and sometimes it can be to our benefit, sometimes not so much. It could be to our detriment. But today I have the most amazing guest. She's called Angela Lewis, and she's all the way from the States. So it's a privilege to have her. And Angela learned the alchemy of success through fire. And this is something which I think most entrepreneurs will understand. She lost everything in a business deal, and it taught her what entertainment executives and Fortune 500 consultants desperately need. So if your business isn't going the way you planned and it's not doing as you thought, I tell you what, most entrepreneurs, they need a few goes before they soar. So it's not a failure, it's just a learning curve. And with that, she took strategic counsel without people pleasing. As founder of the Pink Elephant Solution, she now provides confidential ideation space for leaders managing multi-million dollar enterprises, transforming their adversity into authority and their challenges into competitive advantages. Today, she's sharing how to turn your hardest lessons into your most valuable expertise. Congratulations for cracking the code, Angela. This is
Thank you.
absolutely brilliant. Lovely to have you on the show. And I'd love to know what got you into all of this. I love your logo, Pink Elephant Solutions. What was it? What was the inspiration that made you think of Pink Elephant Solutions?
Oh, um, okay. So I had to start like a couple stories. So I started my business 2017 and I asked God, hey, I want to help my family. We were homeschooling and I wanted to help financially because homeschool is not cheap. And um when I prayed about it, I did not know how I was going to solve the problem. I just know it was a problem that needed to be solved, and that was how can I help businesses be successful and how to use the gifts and talents that I have to help others, right? But I took on this company thinking it was going to be one thing, and it ended up being something else. And that company, someone else named it Savvy Designs, meaning understanding of designs. And what I do with that company, I help build brands, brand design, business development for small businesses, startups, and etc. But then about a year or two ago, God said, that was not what I told you to start. I told you to start another business and you're supposed to be the ultimate wingman. You're supposed to be the Swiss Army knife, and you're supposed to be the ears for the people that need to hear you. And in that, I had this really, really loud voice that said, "Do you remember those things you used to trip over in high school?" So I was about a good 98 pounds soaking wet in high school. I used to be a sprinter and a hurdler. So I was very, very small. I remember I went to the store, the guys asked me what size I want. I said, "Do you have negative numbers?" Because a zero was too big.
Oh,
Um, but I would trip all the time on my feet. It was very clumsy, but goofy at the same time. So I named the thing that I was tripping over. I was like, stupid pink elephants. And when I was on carpet, I said, stupid purple elephants, just so people wouldn't laugh at me because I tripped. But then God told me those pink elephants are those things that keep your clients up at night. Those are the things that they keep tripping over and they don't know why. But they're pink elephants because and these are people who are like trailblazers. They're change makers. These are people behind the scenes that no one sees. However, their light is so bright that they equate to an actual pink elephant, which is a real occurrence in nature. It's 0.0000, I don't know how many 0.7s in nature. So imagine a herd of gray elephants, and then you get this pink one. So it doesn't matter how big that pink one is, whether it's a baby elephant or an adult or a teenager, that elephant is going to stand out. And those are the people that I tend to work with. And it all makes sense now, and I should have listened the first time. But that's where Pink Elephant came from. And the solutions are ways that I help them through ideation, creation, execution, and delegation.
Wow, what a wonderful story. And yeah, I do know that God has an amazing way of tapping you on the shoulder and putting you in another direction, and you go, really? And then off you go, and you never look back. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I absolutely identify with that. So thanks for sharing that, Angela. And one of the things that I'd like you to do, because we're talking about the faces of success, is you deal with high-level business leaders, but from a personal perspective, what does success mean to you?
Waking up every day with peace, love, and joy in my heart. Um, the using my abilities and my talents, that's success for me. I get to get paid to use my abilities and talents every day, and that's success for me. Making sure my family is healthy and happy, that's success.
Yeah, yeah, it's wonderful, and that always comes across loud and clear. And the fact that, and there's nothing wrong with making money,
Oh, absolutely nothing.
without money, we can't help others, can we? So
Absolutely. That's just I've learned that money is like cause and effect, cause I help somebody or I help someone with a cause, the effect is I get paid for it. Because I have the talents and abilities that I have, I'm very blessed to have a ton of them. And I have created a Rolodex of information and people. I can then use that to affect change in other people. And that effect is also returned in remuneration. So,
yeah,
yes.
it's important because people value things that they pay for. And if you gave away
Absolutely.
everything for free, people wouldn't be valuing it as much. So I
Absolutely.
completely agree. It's important to be valued and to charge for your services and to make sure that your value system, though, isn't always about the money, that it's important and it's there for a reason. So,
Absolutely.
so thank you. And when you look at your success and you've defined this as your family and waking up with love, peace, and joy in your heart, etc., which most people go, oh, I'd like some of that, because often we wake up and we think, no, I'd rather just put the duvet right back over my head again. When you're dealing with your business leaders, why is it, do you think, that so many people go out there, but they haven't defined what they want, what they're going to consider to be success in their businesses?
I believe that is due to lack of clarity and confidence. And that's something that those are the two biggest things that I find why people don't step out into who they are, because they have issues where, they touched the stove and they got burnt. Now I don't want to get burnt again. But that's a part of it. It's just like when a baby walks, it's going to fall and it keeps getting back up, but we tend to forget that, as long as we fall forward, we're okay. And when we have someone in our ear saying, it's okay if the spaghetti did not stick, there's a whole box left and we can keep moving together. Having having people to reassure you of your ideas, your thoughts, and your dreams, it helps. And when you don't have them and you're feeling alone and you're feeling like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it or if this is going to work, people tend to hide back in the comfort of what has worked and what doesn't cause fear or doesn't cause anxiety. And in that anxiety, that's where we get growth. And that scared, shaky, I don't know if this is going to work. That's where the growth happens. But we have to get past that first. And sometimes we just have to get past ourselves in order for us to grow.
You talked about the analogy of the baby falling down and getting back up again. I'd just like to have your thoughts on the fact that we can be considered, and I'm not denigrating anybody, but sometimes we can be thinking of ourselves as infants because that
Yes.
baby doesn't know that it's going to be walking. It knows instinctively that it needs to get up and it needs to try, and it falls back down again and boom, and up it goes again and falls back down again. But it hasn't really got at that stage the grand plan to think, well, if I do my 10,000 hours of oops and I've fallen down again and I get back
Yes.
up again, I'm going to be walking. How would you say to people who are focusing on an outcome that they feel that they're not getting, where they're thinking, I'm never going to be successful. I'm never going to do this. Every time I put my hand to something, it just turns to ashes, or this is just too damn difficult. How how would you help people who are navigating that fear of failure and having seen it? Because you said, thanks for being so honest in your introduction that, you lost a business and that must have been a huge, huge issue, one which could have turned you away and then want to do it again. So how can you help people thinking about success and marrying that with outcome and need to get A and B and C together?
The best and most frequent thing that I've ever heard in the business circle is if you haven't lost a business, you're not in business yet. And that turned a light on for me because all it does is tell us we're in the evolution stage of who we are and we're always refining. It takes a lot of pressure to build a diamond. And that's what we're doing in this life. We're constantly evolving, constantly pushing ourselves to be the best version of ourselves. And that's a part of the growth process. Now, if you don't want to grow, yes, stay the same. But if you want to grow, just know failure is a part of it. Learn the lesson, keep moving. Now, if you want to wallow in that lesson, like I did, it'll just take you longer to get through it. But if you have a support team, it helps you to get through that process. But it's going to happen. A lot of businesses started in a way that is not what they show on social media. Some people have been selling things out of their trunks. Some people have been growing their business in their garage, Amazon. That some people have been doing this for at least 10 years, and that's usually the marker between 8 and 10 years before people actually get the traction that we see. No one sees the work behind the stage. No one sees, the late nights. No one sees the books you've read. No one sees all the classes you've taken and all the failures you have. Just you. So give yourself grace because it's a part of the process. It's just called refinement.
Overnight successes, eh? That's the thing, isn't it? We look and when we see people and we think, oh, they've just gone on a stellar ride of this and they've just hit the jackpot at the right time and everything just came together and off they went. But then when you hear the backstory, it's very often that it's very different to what we perceive the things to be. And I think some of those things, I can liken it to people like the Taylor Swifts of the world, but she's been doing this pretty much since she could
Yeah,
walk. She put
absolutely.
in hours and hours and hours and hours and hours where other kids might have been playing around and having fun outside. She'd be there doing whatever she was doing with her music. And, and equally so, some people do that and actually it doesn't tend to get them where they've always
Absolutely.
wanted. What would you say, as far as tips for people on that success trail, what would you say your top tips for being successful are?
Always know you're 3 feet from goal, so don't stop. Keep going. And when you do find success, make sure you're making a paper trail or breadcrumbs. So then you can use what you've learned so you can help others. And then when you learn success, teach it to others so other people can grow with you because it expands who you are. Your message now becomes a part of your legacy if you teach others. And that's the best part of success when you're able to give it freely.
You've mentioned something about giving to others and teaching others as part of your tips for success. If I bring that into a context of serving others,
100%.
okay, how important is it to think about how you can serve others while you're doing what you're doing?
Ooh, serving others, and this could be in a free capacity. The more that you give, the more that you get, because you can't get anything with both of your hands are full, right? So always keeping it to yourself, it's not good. Um, Zig Ziglar tweaked a Bible verse, and he says, if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want. And that's servitude, 100% servitude. And every business, that's what it is. You are servicing someone. And you need to think about it that way. How would you, if you were on the other end and want to be served? And what if you can't afford the service? Would you mind teaching? Would you like giving a nugget? Would you like to give a tip? Would you like to give a hand up? How can you do that? Service is not just giving to charity. It could just be saying a kind thing to someone who's having a bad day.
Mm. And what would you say to somebody embarking on setting up a business? What would be your words of wisdom, do you think, to somebody just starting out now with it all ahead of them?
Be diligent, stay consistent, and take action. Always be selling. That's Grant Cardone. You need to tell people who you are, what you do, and how you help them. Because no one is going to knock on your door and ask for a product or service that you have that solves a problem that they did not know that they had. So if you can tell people, say, hey, you can find me here. This is what I do. This is how I help. And this is the result you're going to get. It's easier to start your business. And that way you can ask people if that's something that they want. Give people what they want. Don't solve a problem and give a prescription for for something you didn't diagnose. A way to do that is just ask a lot of questions. Before you start your business, ask a lot of questions. And a lot of them you need to ask yourself. What do people ask me about all the time? What problems am I already solving? And what do I do that is easy as breathing? Because that thing that you do that comes easiest to you, that's your gift and that's what you're supposed to use to serve. But you might not think you deserve to get paid for it, but that's exactly why you were created.
Interesting. So it's finding that passion. And there are people out there go, I don't know what that is. I mean, I just kind of get on with life and I have no idea what this special quality is. People say, how do you find your purpose? And people go, I don't know, because I don't really think I've got one. How can you help people to actually find that secret sauce, that thing that really is their special thing, when perhaps they have no idea themselves?
Well, one, we have purposes. So, as one purpose ends, another starts. So, give yourself grace in that. The other thing is, again, I want you to look back at what you've done throughout your years. How have you helped people? You know, were you that one who stopped kids from bullying others? Were you that one who would meet the new kid and make them your best friend? Were you the one who, when they had a, a a bookstore at your school and you shared your money with someone, or you teach other kids how to read? These are things that you've always been doing. You just did not realize that that was what you were purposed for, your bigger purpose.
And for anybody that's just listened, we're recording now. It's Halloween here in the UK, and I've just had a little dog that heard a lot of fireworks, and she's just barked. So if anybody heard that or saw everything shift, she just rocketed from one side of the room to the other. So I'll just let everybody know now, there's not ghosts in the machine. There was a little dachshund whizzing from one side of my room to the other and barking away. So I apologize for anybody that's thinking, what was that? Hope if you heard it, Angela, it didn't keep you off.
No, I didn't hear the bark, and I saw your screen shake.
Okay. Well, that's good. The technology did its job. But that's what it is. It's life, isn't it? I keep it
Yes,
real. I keep this all real because sometimes, well, it's nice to be authentic on social media as well. And what I'd like you also to do is we've talked about people starting out in their career. But let's say, for instance, we've been going 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and you said, I like the phrase, you're only ever 3 feet away from gold, so don't stop. And you just don't see the progress that you thought you would have made by this time. What would you say to people that need to have another impetus, something else, so that they can be again looking at success and thinking, yeah, I know why I do this, because it's been a long time now and I can't quite see where I should be, because I know you really help people with that.
I was there. And the more you help, it seems like the more you help people, the more you help you. And in your difficulty, that's the time you need to pick up the phone and talk to someone and help them, because your answers will come to you. Now, when you are looking at, um, let me see how I can answer this. When you are looking at yourself in the mirror, and I explain it in this context so you can visualize, I'm a visual communicator. When you are in the painting, it's hard to see what's going on except to the right and the left of you. But when you have someone step outside of the painting, like an art gallery, they can see, oh, it's starting to rain. There's a house right behind you for shelter. Oh, there's someone with a knife. Halloween. Run because they're coming. Run out of the picture because they're coming, you know? But other people sometimes see your success way before you see it. So in your head down, blinders on, take a minute and look at the things that you've done. Look at the things that you've already accomplished, whether it's your education, platforms you've been on, books you've written, people you've helped, success stories that you've helped, you helped create. You might not have been totally you, you've been a part of a great team. Look at those things. Those reflections will help you in those darkest moments because we tend to forget when we're running the race to look back every now and then and to reflect. It is crucial to your success. And then that way you don't repeat the things you've already done because you've already accomplished it. You don't have to keep striving for that. You can strive for something bigger.
That's really lovely way of putting it. I love the fact that when you're in the painting, you can't really see what's going on, but when you're outside, like in an art gallery, you can see the whole 3D, you can see everything around you, etc. I love that. I love that analogy. I also look at it because I'm a great fan of enjoying the journey and not
Mm.
necessarily being that hung up about the outcome, because the journey, I liken it to being on a train and you're going through amazing scenery. Maybe you're going through the Swiss Alps or maybe the Great Plains, and you're going out and you see this amazing thing as it goes past. Well, while you're on the train of your business, sometimes it's good to look out the window and actually see that beautiful landscape or whatever it is that you feel is just lovely. It could be the ocean on one side, etc. But make sure that you do that from time to time, because sometimes, using the analogy of a train again, it can feel like a bit like you're in a tunnel and you get tunnel vision. And looking out can give you different perspectives, but also appreciation. And what I'd love you to know now about success is, how does appreciation for sometimes the things that we're not particularly proud of or that we feel have gone against us, how does appreciation and gratitude help in the overall success of your business?
Gratitude helps in the positivity and mindset part of what we do. Um, when we are in the, I'm not sure if this is what I wanted to do, but I can't not do this in the same breath. Emotional roller coaster there of a entrepreneur. I call it a entrepreneur roller coaster because I know I have quit and started and stopped and didn't want to and wanted to, and I couldn't help everything and all in one breath. And gratitude helps you to do that. I'm very thankful for the clients that I work with and for. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share some of my services for free. I'm very grateful for the fact that I'm able to give 10% of what I do every year since I've started my business. And I'm grateful for the charities that I get to work with. Reminding yourself of the things that you do and be grateful for, because not everybody, especially in this environment, has a job. A lot of them don't have a clear road to success that they're trying to build. A lot of people are comfortable being on the couch and just collecting a check. Some people are comfortable with getting paid from their ideas. If any of those things you make you happy, bring joy to you, gives you freedom, doesn't really matter what society says. Is that, are you grateful for those things? Are you grateful to sit on the couch and get a check? Are you grateful that you can use your gifts and abilities to get that check or whatever you're doing? Are you grateful that you can go out and help others? Are you grateful for the roof over your head? We all should be grateful for these things because we don't deserve any of them, yet and still we get them. So we should appreciate everything that we do and everything that we're able to do and enjoy.
And as part of something on the other side to that and the flip side, how do you personally alchemize those feelings of anxiety, feeling low, feeling that, you know what, I don't want to do this today? Because some people might go, yeah, being grateful, but, I've just had a bill for the electric. I've just, had the fact that, I'm not that well, or I might be going in for an operation and I'm worried and I'm scared. How do you, in those dark moments, alchemize that into something that you can actually look at from a positive perspective?
Mm. I do it. I should do it more. I actually have a gratitude book, and I feel so much better when I write my gratitude down versus when I just say it. And that's one of my mentors, Dan McPherson, told me, write them down, at least three. Take 2 minutes out of your day in the morning and the evening, write down the things that you're grateful for. Um, just little things, even if you are having surgery, be grateful for having the funds to get it done, having the um, foresight to go to the doctor to see if there's something wrong. Be grateful that you have eyes to see and to have visions. You have ears to hear and to listen. And you have a mouth to talk, to eat, to taste. It's so many small things that we forget. You know, electricity. Yes, the light bill does need to be paid, and it might have taken every last bit of my money, but I had the money to pay for it. So in those moments, those panic moments, because I had one just a couple days ago, one of those panic moments where, oh gosh, I had to pay for a thing that I wasn't expecting. And I had to take a moment and go, wait, but I was able to pay for it. Some people can't. You have to think about the things that you are able to do. And if you do have some of the things that you can't do, what can you do to make yourself feel better? Like I can't hire, like some people, I can't hire anyone. Okay, so what can you do right now to make it so you can't hire someone? Start writing your things down. Write down the things that you do so when you're able to hire someone, you can then give them a book and say, here, this is how you do this job. You don't have to train them. There's a book. When you are working on yourself, you can think about those things. Well, I remember I used to be like that. And now I'm like this, and this gives me joy. It can be something small. And think about that in your business. I used to only have X amount of clients or X type of clients. And now I have these type of clients and I make this type of money. Or there's a plethora of things. It could be I used to be alone and now I have a dog. And I'm happy about that because now my dog is my partner in my business. Or whatever the situation is, always be grateful because you don't have to. You don't have to have. You don't have to do. And that's a part of being a human doing and not a human being. Because we can just be, but we should be able to think about all the things that we're able to do and be grateful for that.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that, and that's very personal, isn't it, for what gives us gratitude. I try and get out in nature every day, and I'm the one with a little dog, and she just runs, as I said, across the floor, etc. Bless her heart. And I try and look at one thing maybe while she's sniffing around, maybe a leaf or a blade of grass or a little flower, and I study it. And I
Yeah,
become very grateful for that because I've been blessed to have so much going on in my life to be able to get to the point to be there and see the flower. And so, yes, that does mindfulness, that kind of understanding of what is around us that we can be grateful for, and the fact of how other people have helped us to get to where we are as well.
correct.
Excuse me. So, absolutely, there's always something that we can be grateful for, even amidst of the biggest challenge. And it's wonderful that you brought that to us. I know that people are going to be thinking to themselves, I'd love to be able to talk to you. One thing I'd love to know how people can get hold of you, but also if you also have something that people can take advantage of, having listened and watched the show today, that's particular to them that you can offer.
Sure. They can find me on most social medias as the real Angela Lewis. They can find me even on in LinkedIn as the real Angela Lewis. My last name is very popular, so that's why it's that way. I have a couple of companies, Savvy Designs, if you are a small business and you're looking for branding and marketing material. And that helps those people who are looking for business basics. I also have a free class, and that's what the Scan Me for. Every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a free class to join. And this is where you can ask me anything about business, or if you're looking for executive services and you're trying to position yourself in your business, looking to become the SME you always were meant to be, you can find me at the pinkelephant Sorry, pinkelephant the pinkelephant And or let me see, you can email me at angela@savvydesigns.info. That's S as in Sam, A as in Apple, V as in Victor, V as in Victor, Y, designs with an S.info. And if you comment that you saw me on this podcast, um, comment Deborah in the subject, and then I will give you a free consultation. 15 to 30 minutes.
Wow, that is something I'd say to everybody. Please, I do have a wonderful consultation with Angela. This lady, I tell you what, I always call her an earth angel. She is just fabulous. Her depth of knowledge, Angela hasn't mentioned this, but she went to Harvard Business School. She's a very, very clever cookie and deals with the brightest and the best. I've had the pleasure of dealing with some of the people that Angela has. She's very kindly done exactly what she said today. She's introduced me to some of the wonderful people that she helps. And my goodness me, they're at the top of the tree. But that's not to say that when you're at the bottom, she'll help you too to get
I
there,
will help you too.
because she helps people to rapidly accelerate their progress, whether or not it's stuff from the start, in the middle, towards the end. It's there for everybody. So, Angela, thank you so much for being on the Sphere of Success podcast today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It has been a pleasure. Thanks, Deborah.
Oh, it's great. And for everybody listening and watching, thank you as well, because it's always wonderful to have your support. Please do like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and also to share it, because ultimately you never know which episodes are going to be of interest to people. And it might even be random, but it could be exactly what somebody needs. So until next time, be successful, and we'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye now.